Desai, and Ramanjeet Singh, Director, CEO, Whisper Infotech. Also, I would like to welcome our faculty members from Shoolini University. एक बार फिर से आप सभी का स्वागत है, rather swag से स्वागत है. Ladies and gentlemen, NASSCOM, for those who may not be familiar, is an Indian non-governmental trade and advocacy group whose member provides software and IT-enabled service. They play an essential role in ensuring the availability of the best service quality and enforcement of intellectual property right in the Indian software and BPO industry, leading the Indian transformation narrative that is Think Digital, Think India. So without much ado, let's start our digital adda with Saraswati Vandana. But before that, I'm so sorry. Sir, सबसे पहले तो हम सब जोरदार तालियां बजाएंगे हमारे शूलिनी यूनिवर्सिटी के वाइस चांसलर प्रोफेसर अतुल खोसर जी के लिए. Why? Because सर से जो एक चीज हम सब सीख सकते हैं, that is स्पोर्ट्स में मेरा भाई है और वो मुझे कहता कि दीदी 3D बहुत जरूरी है, that is devotion, dedication and discipline. और वो चीज हम सर से सीख सकते हैं, because sir, we know you are not feeling well, तो guys, we should learn this thing from sir. And let's start with the lamp lightning in the हम अपने सरस्वती माता के सामने एक बार दीप प्रज्वलित करके स्टार्ट करेंगे इवेंट को. So I request Chancellor sir, our Vice Chancellor sir, Ashish sir and Munish sir, please distinguished guests के साथ आकर let's start with the deep enlightenment, and then we'll start with our Saraswati Vandana.
माते पिता तुम अकेले जगत की, माते पिता तुम अकेले जगत की, वंदना करूं शारदा सरस्वती, वंदना करूं शारदा सरस्वती, हम सब बालक शरण तिहारी, हम सब बालक शरण तिहारी, जननी तुम्हारी शरणों की लाज तुम्हारी, प्रतिपालक सब जग जानी, माते पिता तुम अकेले जगत की, माते पिता तुम अकेले जगत की, वंदना करूं शारदा सरस्वती, वंदना करूं शारदा सरस्वती, वंदना करूं शारदा, वंदना करूं शारदा, वंदना करूं शारदा सरस्वती.
Thank you, students, and thank you so much to all of you. After our prayers to Ma Saraswati, the goddesses of knowledge and wisdom, I would like to invite Mr. Munish Serawat, the Dean of Faculty of Management Sciences, for the formal welcome note. So students, welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we have a house full and we've got more students in RTH. So that's great. So firstly, I would like to welcome the NASSCOM leadership team, Shoolini University leadership team, our educators, and above all of you students. So today we are in 2023 talking about future technology and change. If you're an Isaac Asimov fan, in 1964, he was writing a lot about flying cars. And in 1964, he said, I think that in 2014, we'll have flying cars. And in 2020, Uber and Hyundai launched out their prototypes of flying cars. So imagine this NASSCOM conference, I don't know how many years down from today, when some of the speakers took 8 hours to reach here, and they take a flying car and reach Shoolini University. That is quite a real possibility. So there's another interesting thing. I'm an Isaac Asimov fan. So Isaac Asimov said, the only constant is change, continuing change and inevitable change. That is dominant factor in society today. Imagine he's talking about this in 1960s. No sensible decision can be made any longer without taking into account not only the world as it is, but the world as it will be. So we are not only living that change, technology is preparing us for much, much more. I have been a startup founder besides other roles, and I can tell you, if you were to go today and pitch to a private equity or a VC player, and if you do not have technology embedded in your business plan, it is very unlikely that you will get funding, because scalability through technology is something that any business would look at if it wants to become a unicorn. Other trends which are there today, when I started driving a car, the cars that I learned my driving on they had hand gears and carburetors and all. And today a car has more software than an aeroplane of a couple of years back. So it is all real, it is all happening. And I'm very, very delighted that we are having a conference about future careers in technology. When you go and speak to young adults today, either you'll find a lot of excitement or you'll find anxiety about what kind of careers I would be entering into 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, or 10 years from today. So the world is going to change dramatically. And I think this is an absolutely fantastic theme for us to discuss, talk about, debate, ask questions about. So I don't want to take more time. I would want us to proceed with the agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. There is a theory of Darwin that survival of the fittest. So with this changing time, we also have to change and evolve, right, with the time. So thank you again very much. कहते हैं कि बड़ों के आशीर्वाद में स्वयं ईश्वर का वास होता है, and when we have this opportunity, how we can miss it. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our beloved Chancellor, Shoolini University, Professor P.K. Khosla, for his word of wisdom.
Dear members of NASSCOM, my Chancellor, other teachers of the university, guests, and dear students. Well, I will ask to bless you, and the topic is such, which is dealing with the technology. In my lifespan, in earlier days, there is nothing worth technology as the modern thinking is. Even those days, bicycle was a technology. running of the buses was also technology, the coming of the cars, refrigerators, and all other life making easy tools, instruments, and many things were coming, and we have reached a day when everything is computerized. Artificial intelligence is going to replace everything, and the human mind will be passing on whatever it wants to the, I would say, the artificial intelligence. So time is not far. You will be watching what the robot is doing, and you have only to put the chip in that. So this is the journey of technology. I think every decade will be different from the next one, and many changes will come. So NASSCOM is here with us to partner for this training workshop and future partnership, collaboration. And I wish that the Shoolini University, which is committed to any partnership, any joining hands, Shoolini University started in a very humble way, and it has reached to a level that it is now considered to be one of the, I would say, the science-based universities. And obviously, the science is not separate from technology. First the science, then the technology comes, because technology, the utilization of the science. So I wish everyone, the students, the teachers, and the NASSCOM team, to harness the technological outputs to the best of the possible ways and make this joint program with NASSCOM the most successful and yielding for the partnership of both the organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Change is the law of nature. What is today shall be different from what it would be tomorrow. So keep upgrading and keep learning. And now let's move towards the next session of our digital Adda, which is fireside chat. And for this, I would like to welcome Vice Chancellor, Shoolini University, Professor Atul Khosla, sir. Okay. For this, as sir suggested, Ashish sir, President Innovation, Shoolini University, I would like to call him on stage, or with our special guest, Anurag Sinha, CEO and co-founder of FPL Technologies, one of the India's leading fintech companies, now a unicorn. He is an alumni of IIM Bangalore and also sits in the Global Advisory Board of Shoolini University. So students, presenting fireside chat.
So good afternoon, everyone. We're waiting for Anurag to join us. And before he joins us a quick introduction. Anurag has been known to us for quite a while. In fact, he was introduced by Atul. And great. Anurag's here. Hi, Anurag. How are you?
Hi, Ashish.
Great seeing you here. And I was quickly introducing you. I was saying that we've known you. We've had the pleasure of having you on the Shoolini board for a while. And it's also been a pleasure seeing how you are one of the Indian unicorn founders now. Yeah, so I think a round of applause for you by our audience.
Thank you, Ashish. Can I request someone to just switch on my video from that side? Say the host has to initiate my video. Yeah.
So Anurag, it's I remember when Atul first talked about you, you were working in corporate India. And then after that, you decided to be an entrepreneur. Your current company is your second venture. So tell me, That's a question that often comes to me in my MBA batches. Are entrepreneurs born or are they made? So what is your take on that, Anurag?
Yeah, it's a very difficult one. I think everyone has their own journey. But in my opinion, in my experience, what I have encountered myself, and also, I talk to many entrepreneurs. Usually, these traits are there in people, but of course, they need exposure and grooming to actually take on the challenge. But let me tell you the good news that when I meet more and more youngsters, these traits are becoming more common. So I think the exposure and learning is happening quite early in the life. So I see many youngsters, especially in the college, and when I go for these talks like this, more and more people are inclined to start up, or rather, actually, they're more interested about the problems they want to solve, which eventually lead up to creating these ventures. So I definitely, and then it is got to do a little bit about the environment too. I think the current environment is, of course, more conducive than 20 years back, 25 years back when I passed out from engineering college. Than that, yeah.
So when you were in engineering college, now we have, I think, 500 students listening on. So what were your, ideals and plans? What were you planning to do then?
Awesome.
Were you
So
planning to be an entrepreneur right over,
no, I have absolutely no clue about it, by the way. I passed out in 99, and that time the big thing was to go to US. Almost 70 to 80% of my batch currently lives in US. I somehow had a very clear thought that I don't want to go to US. I want to stay here. And IT services was the theme. So I joined HCL Technology. They were doing some reasonably good work in India. So I got a chance to be in Noida, then Hyderabad. But frankly speaking, we did not have that much of internet just coming in. We've not started reading about ventures. In India, it was only corporate houses starting companies. It was very rare for new entrepreneurs to come from middle class background. But as the internet started gaining, we started reading about company creations in US and other markets, especially US. And that kind of gave us that, okay, we are also building a similar tech. Can't we do something about it? But frankly, as soon as the venture creations journey started in India, it kind of the dot-com bust came too soon. So I
2008? Yeah. Or
yeah,
1999? Yeah. Okay.
99, 2000. Yes, yes. So I think I just finished my engineering, so I just started reading about it, but so it did not occur at that point in time. And then, I could not also even anticipate how big technology will impact human lives and almost change everything. So, I did the next thing. I thought, okay, fine. I was building product and technology. It was actually in those days, we used to work for overseas clients. That was the model. So we were a little away from the problems our clients were solving. We will get a requirement and we will do it. So while I enjoyed the coding part because you're creating something yourself, but I just could not get connected to the problem. So then I decided to do my MBA because I thought I'll be closer to the problems, and that's how I happened to do my MBA. So the point I'm telling you is that today, if somebody has to tell me that, okay, I would leave a tech job and do something in management, probably I would not have done that in today's world. But that time, I could not anticipate how big technology will play the role in everybody's life across different categories, industries, and things like that.
Yeah, interesting. So then after MBA, took up a job. Then
Yeah.
find
So
you got a eureka moment and said, up now let me start up something. So tell us something about that, Anurag.
So it's even my MBA school was even more interesting because I had actually not full clarity that what I will do after MBA. I remember I had my mentor professor and I asked him in like first meeting, somebody saying, I want to be an investment banker, I want to be a consultant. I said, actually don't know. So he said, okay, fine, good. You can become anything you want to. And you would remember I passed out in '03. This is the first placements post 9/11. So the entire job market had completely changed that time. So anyway, I wanted to be in India, so I joined an Indian bank. It just so happened, I joined ICICI, by the way, for those of you who don't know. Now, in IM, I had studied corporate finance. So all of us wanted to do corporate finance. But I actually joined in consumer finance, which I had never studied before. So we all kind of went
Luckily for
to,
you, right? Huh? Luckily, as it turned out.
yeah. So what happened? We actually complained to HR, then we don't want to be in this role, because this was not told to us during placement, blah, blah, blah. So they organize it. Management trainees are treated with little more respect in these companies. So Mr. Kamath, he was the CEO of the ICICI Bank then. He called us, some 30 of us were saying and say, so he said, ICICI balance sheet is 80% is corporate, 20% retail. In next 5 years, this will change. India is going to go through a massive consumer boom. You're getting a seat in the front row, and you guys are basically cribbing about it. So we said, okay, but we were not convinced. So he said, fine, you guys work here for 2 years. And then if you guys don't like, we'll shift you to treasury or corporate finance, which is where most of my seniors used to work. And rest is history. I never looked back. I did join corporate banking for 2.5 years. Actually, not corporate. I was in the bond side, but I did not enjoy and then came back to retail. So since then, all my journey has been around consumer banking, which is payments, lending, and things like that. Yeah. So I think it was not planned. And the thing is that ICICI itself was getting into this business for the first time. So we got to, I mean, though I worked in a corporate setup, but I got an opportunity to, experience how to build things grounds up. So my grooming happened there. Yeah.
Okay, great, great. So before I come to my next question, Anurag, we have a little bit of a light problem. So in case you may need to log in again, just in case we get disconnected.
Sure.
Still, so suddenly one day you were there in ICICI Bombay, right?
Yes.
And then one day you said, let me quit my job, and ICICI Bombay has a very nice fancy office. What motivated you to do that? And was that something that you always thought you would do, or just came up all of a sudden?
So it definitely was not all of a sudden, because I really enjoyed my time at the bank. We grew big time from 2003 to 6, and then crisis happened, the global financial crisis. We went through a lot of tough phase at the bank. So lots of learning. So actually, I had no clue about starting up of my own. But post 2010, something changed. And payments used to be one of my area which I used to lead at the bank. And if people would recall, that was the first area where fintech started. So Paytms of the world and Mobiquick of the world came in, and we were like bankers to them. And I would say, I remember ICICI at that time had around 6,000 branches, massive setup, and we would acquire around 300,000 customers in a month. And a single app will acquire 300,000 customers in a month. So I was like really, really amazed by this, that wow, you can build a cool tech, and you can solve a customer problem in the front end. And just to tell you, like someone like Paytm or let's say Freecharge, they just solve one use case, which is about how to help people recharge mobile digitally. That's it. And that's it. On that problem statement, they would acquire millions of customers. So that was very exciting to me, and which was my motivation, to see that like technology has always been the backbone for financial services. Be any You pick up any part of the financial services business. However, this is very different. You are building something in the front end, and it is so iterative, and especially for a country like India, which is so vast and at the same time so varied. Even within the same city, there are different segments. Same income groups, there are different segments. So the technology needs to be super intuitive, and I somehow felt that large banks, it'll be difficult for them to build that customization at that scale, which was my motivation to leave and say, fine, why don't we step out and build something from ground up. So if you ask me, of course I started my entrepreneur journey when I was at the age of 38, 39. So it's not the usual age for starting up, though they say there's no age for starting up. But so it was definitely a well thought out decision rather than a abrupt decision.
Interesting. So, we have so many students here today. Question they all want to know, what are the skills they need to inculcate, maybe if they want to start up on their own today? What do you
Yeah.
think the 2 or 3 skills students should build in? And let me follow up question on people who don't want to just, do a startup. but want to work in a company, what are the skills they would need today?
So on the first hand, it's pretty simple. You need to have an extremely curious mind. That is the first thing, because when you are starting up, you have no brand, you have no product. Uh, you have to actually build a team to startup. So unless you are curious about a problem, you will not put your conviction behind it. So that is the first step. And the second step is you have to be an amazing team player, because you, even if you're a most brilliant guy, you can't do anything alone. So that's how, in my opinion, these two are extremely basic ingredients. Interestingly, if you want to work in a corporate setup, you almost have a
Before you
similar.
move on to that, Anurag, so there is this huge leap one needs to take from being a corporate personnel to, being an entrepreneur. And there is this whole thing is, where will my dal roti kaise chalegi, who's going to run my household? So did you have those issues, those thoughts behind you when you took the leap? And
Luckily, I was a little taken care of because I worked in a large bank for almost 13 years. So those basic needs were taken. But as you grow up, I mean, because I started my entrepreneur journey after being in a bank for 13 years. I had a family, had two kids. So your requirements are very different compared to, let's say, you're starting up at the age of 25 or 26, because you're pretty much on your own. You have no liabilities. So I think it's a give and take. But the ideal time would be as and when you decide that, fine, okay, this problem is so important for me to go after. Especially the question which you asked, Ashish, about being a corporate employee. How do you make that transition to being an entrepreneur? And many people ask me that, okay, fine, I want to become an entrepreneur because, let's say, my corporate life is not doing well, or that's not the right decision for you to go. You have to really get consumed by the problem, only then you should start up. Otherwise, if you're not happy with the corporate life, go to some other place to work. And in fact, just connecting this dot to the previous first question you asked, that can you become an entrepreneur by learning it? Definitely yes. I'm like, this is my second startup. My first startup was more of a, I would say, completely grounds up learning experience. You're working in a large bank for 13 years. You will have a large team reporting to you. Your 90% job is people management, less about product management. And especially the other thing is that in your startup, in a small team, you need to have a much more cross-functional team. You got to hire engineers. You got to hire, let's say, finance folks, product manager, marketing. Everything is being done at the scale of, let's say, 5 or 7 member team. Vis-a-vis, let's say, in large company, you will have very large teams, helping you around that. So I guess there is a learning process. So many people are advised that if you are not very clear about what you want to do, but you do want to become an entrepreneur, start your journey to work in a startup, because you will be able to connect to the problems, what goes in building the startup in the early stage. And I'm like, the startup learnings are definitely faster because they will almost mimic what you would undergo as your as an entrepreneur yourself. I'm like, while there could be couple of founders to start the company, but the reality is the first 20-30 people are the one who build the company. So most of the founders will include this founding team, equal participant in building that. If you are part of those first 50 people, you will definitely go through a similar learning experience for sure.
yeah, right. Interesting. So now the second part of the question, where we said, what are the skills you need if you want to have a successful corporate job? Since you've had that for 15 years as well in your mind.
Yeah, so I think team player and curiosity is definitely up there. But I just want to add one more thing. You got to have lots of patience. In one of my very senior leader at the bank, when I joined the bank, and they gave us an appointment, a scenario that you guys have passed out from IIM, and then you're here, and then you are doing, whatever assignment is given to you, the quality assignment is only 10%. The rest of the job is actually, most of them, following up with people, waiting for things to happen, and things like that. And you will say, okay, probably the companies are not utilizing my skill set. The reality is that when you are working in a project in a let's say in a college, you will typically evaluate that should this company acquire that company or not. And you can pretty much complete the assignment in a couple of weeks with four of you together, and you will advise the management this is what happened. But if you have to do in reality, the implication of the decision is huge. So, but the point she mentioned to us, and I won't name, she's a very successful leader right now in in India. She said that when I started my career, probably my quotient was that 1%. If you don't do that 1% well, you will never get to 50%, which is what most, even at very, very senior level, because the corporate structures are very large, because they are solving for large outcomes. The listed companies, they get measured differently. So naturally, like that architecture is very difficult for understand, especially when you're coming out of the college, because uh, I'm like, I'll tell you, a lot of people when they are getting placed in companies from campus, they say, fine, I want to go to, let's say, finance, I want to go to marketing roles, I want to go to operations roles. In my opinion, what I advise people is that instead of that, you should look at, do I enjoy to be in the front? Do I enjoy to be in the middle? Do I enjoy to be in the back end? Because I think compared to industry verticals, that matters. This is even bigger, thing to worry. But like, I guess right now people get more exposure at the campuses. I see a lot of youngsters doing tons of internship before they actually join a job, and that kind of prepares them well for the job decisions compared to our times.
No, that is true, Anurag. In fact, I remember placement, and I was a few years senior to you at another IM. Placements was such a big, a behemoth that one needed to tackle. And one thought that once one is placed, one will continue with that company for one's life. But on an average, my batch has changed job 3 to 4 times. And there are
Yes.
only 3 of us who've not changed jobs at all. So the whole thing is that life is a journey and one needs to do what one really wants to do, as you
Yes.
have. Yeah. So you've seen a lot of change in technology over the last few years, and then definitely over the last few months as well. Yeah. So what is your opinion on what's going to happen in the future? We have generative AI at our heels. Somebody said that any technology, any software that you've made could get outdated tomorrow. Yeah. So one, from the technology perspective, what does that mean? And secondly, from the skills perspective for students, for aspiring, people in tech and management, what is it that they should get themselves prepared with?
So I think, I'd say technology is making the world flat. It's like uh, everybody agrees with this statement, and especially in the current context when you talk about AI being around for some time, but now people are able to appreciate the use cases, what it will lead to. And there are two sides of the world. One will say 90% of the jobs today exist will not exist, and the second version says, okay, fine, we will become more productive. Of course, I am on the second part. I believe that AI will help humankind to move forward. And I'll tell you, it's very, very important to understand in the context of India today. I think, especially in last 5, 6 years, I would say from demonetization to, let's say, COVID, and let's say the way we handled our vaccination, the UPI, Aadhaar, this, I would say, the large digital public infrastructure has made Indians believe in technology at unprecedented scale. This wasn't the case before, by the way. We had to sell tech. Okay, and people used to be always skeptic about it. Does it make sense anything to me, or is it just made sense for, let's say, a few companies or few people in the? Today, it's a horizontal. Everybody knows that the first approach to solve a problem is through technology, because we know that we can't wait for resources to happen, and using technology we can bridge the gap faster. Look at this. My favorite example is that we vaccinated more than a billion people without creating hospitals.
Yes.
We actually just vaccinated each other by registering ourselves. So I think, and this is extremely important for population to absorb in the mind. And when I meet, even in our company, or when I meet more founders and the teams, we believe that we can build anything in technology. And the reason is, look at something like a Flipkart, which got built in India. They are competing against Amazon, which is built by some of the best engineers in the world. We have an Ola, which is competing against, let's say, Uber. Same thing. We don't believe that we don't have the technology skills to build anything. And all of these events like Chandrayaan, going there, and all just increase our confidence into that. I met a founder in Bangalore, and they are building like a Google map for space debris, so that when people go to send satellites up, they can actually see, okay, how they should plan the path. And this is a 12-member startup. and they've got just funded, and I met the founders. So this is what is happening right now in India. Okay, now so how can we do it? So I think one thing for sure, whatever tech happens, it will never be able to replace the human ingenuity, and that's what I'm saying, that the problem solving still will come, from human mind. And we have tons of problem to solve as a country, by the way, be it climate change, be it, let's say, making how to manage waste in India, how to build more housing for everyone, how can we, make things faster to
How to
people.
send the man on the moon as well.
Absolutely. How can we, educate people?
Yeah.
How can we,
How
and
to make
education should not be just limited to, let's say, technology education. Well, in my area, financial education is a big problem to solve,
yeah.
because like so many people are coming into, let's say, they are getting upgraded from, to become the middle India. They don't know how to handle money, and we all know that earning money is not good enough. You got to know how to manage money. So I'm just saying that all that dimension, and we can't wait the way Western world solved, because they had time, and they had population was limited. We don't have time. We got to build things faster, and the only way we can do this is through technology. So what I'm trying to say, that the impact of technology is more important to understand. Of course we should learn technology skills, whatever the latest stacks, and I know for in like we typically, I've seen people studying in like less than 3 months the latest stack. It's not a big deal. People will learn fast. But if one is able to understand that what this tech stack can do, like for example, just to give you an extremely practical example, writing code is pretty simple, but writing efficient code is extremely difficult. And that is what you will be able to appreciate when you know that how the technology is impacting the solution of the problem you're trying to solve. So in my opinion, that is more important. So you will all have, of course, code development, co-models in Gen AI. The problem is that somebody still has to code with you, and you still have to figure out how to solve the problem. So that's how I would like to give advice to everyone as they're skilling themselves in the current tech world. This is how they should approach it.
So Anurag, just to summarize what you said for our students, you said, learn your basics. You never said that, but I'm paraphrasing you. Definitely learn your basics, but focus on how technology can solve problems. Be a problem solver and be creative. And that is the way forward for jobs in India, to solve the several problems that we have, and which we can actually, solve effectively. We, after all, have sent Chandrayaan to the moon for 612 crore rupees, while the US is taking 8 to 9,000 crore rupees. Another example is, as late as 2018, I went as part of a MasterCard worldwide review to look at technology advances in the payment space. That's your space. And they showed us almost every country, Europe, US, China, and there was no mention of India. And in a year's time, India had leapfrogged against, all of these. And it's our UPI, which is the current case study across the world. So the opportunities are immense. And we have mentors like you to guide students at Shoolini. And thank you for that. One last question people ask me, and they ask me that, sir, ye aap bol rahe ho, do all these jobs, take a high flying job, or, be an entrepreneur. What happens to my life? So how do you manage your professional and personal life once you start doing deep things as you do? So that's the last question for you, Anurag, one of my students.
So I think I'm like I'll tell you with my examples, and I also get to see youngsters in my company. If you take 5 6 of us out, the average age of my company is below 28. So you can imagine that I'm referring to that kind of population. What I've seen that this generation is super aspirational. They actually believe that this is the time to take themselves and the country ahead. So actually what they should do is what they like doing it. And once you merge the two, there is absolutely like no way this stresses you. And this is what I do. I'm like, at my age, I've got a family to look after. Still I would put up like 12 to 14 hours a day, and that is because I really want to solve this. In fact, as you just spoke about, I was at GFF for last 3 days, which is Global FinTech Fest. In 2007, when we started the first FinTech festival in India, called Payment, Payment Day, and the governor, the RBI asked us to keep it in the town center of the Bombay. We actually had to find people to fill the hotel. We were there for 3 days. We had 65,000 people who joined. The BKC, which is the main financial hub, was blocked. We had the finance minister to all politicians, all the 5 central bank governors, like IRDA chair, insurance, capital market chairperson, Madhvi, everyone was there. And the more importantly, we had 100 plus countries delegates. And everybody was talking about that. How can a country process 10 billion interoperable transactions? This is there's no comparison for our, for ourselves. And the UPI was launched in 2016, in a small room with 6 bankers. I was part of that, that effort, and today it's 10, what we were debating, 30 billion is anyway, people have spoken about it. Currently, the problem statement we were debating in our closed room session, that how do we build the architecture for 100 billion transactions a month? Because that's going to happen in next 12 months, not 12, sorry, 24 months.
Awesome.
100 billion transactions. And you have to remember that when you hear numbers from other large countries, they're not interoperable. This is happening in an open architecture. We're not forcing someone to become one customer of one particular brand or one particular. This is an open architecture. There is no precedence to that. And that is what we are replicating it, now. So I think what I'm trying to say, that if you are doing something what you're passionate about it, this question becomes part of it. Yes, I would like to give one advice, and probably at my age, I'm realizing it. If some, like, it was always there, but I never understood it. One should definitely look after their own health. And when I say health, means it's both physical and mental health, both, because there is absolutely no, second guess about it. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve, but you got to have health to enjoy it. So definitely you should focus as early as possible. Shoolini is a great campus. I would have loved to do this in person. Just walking up and down gives you a good exercise. So you should definitely enjoy that.
Thank you, Anurag. We'll invite you again, and we have a few questions for you. So Atul has a question. Atul, can you come over and ask the question?
Thank you, Anurag. I'm sorry I didn't do the fireside chat. I was not feeling well. I have 2-3 questions for you. One, how does it feel being a unicorn founder?
Actually, you know what? Unicorn is more of, I'm like, the kind of opportunity we are going after, this is just a small stepping stone. And that is what we keep telling ourselves. Okay, because, in our industry, if the Indian economy has to grow, we need credit, because credit drives consumption, and consumption is the pillar of Indian economy. So yes, it is like a responsibility, because we have taken money from investors. We have to give them returns so that they invest in more companies in India and create more unicorns. It's like a cycle. But actually, it doesn't occur to us on a day-to-day basis. But yes, it feels good when you are in a company of 100 plus companies who are, like, expected to build the infrastructure for the next layer. Love to be there. But by the way, it's a big
I have to tell my audience that I've known Anurag for 15 years now. And that was a time when he was a young professional at ICICI Bank. And we were working together. And you had a gleam in your eyes, Anurag, and you always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think some members in your team had already cracked it.
Yes.
But tell me a question, did you ever believe you'll come on a fireside chat at Shoolini?
I did not even, I remember when Atul for the first time told me that, okay, I'm like, uncle is creating a university. And, like, how is it that possible? And he said, no, they're doing it in Himachal. So that was the even second part. And the most audacious vision was, I remember when he told me that uncle had a vision of being in the top 200 university in the world, not in India, in the world. And I remember he told me that the criteria for that is basically more research oriented. So, this is how ventures need to start. They need to have an extremely audacious vision which makes sense for the country, for the society, and let's just go after it. And then the people will keep coming and helping you. So, definitely I had not thought about it, but I'm so happy that, I'm here and talking to students on the Shoolini platform.
But I'm thankful, Anurag, you joined our global advisory board 10 years ago. So somewhere we also played a role in making what you are, and
Absolutely.
you played a role in making what we are today. So big round of applause for Anurag. So I have one last question for you. This is for our students. I think it's very obvious for the students who are studying technology, you know, the guys who are doing BTech, IT or BCA and the likes, for them to understand tech, to know tech, to develop programming skills and the likes is very, very important. But there are lots of other students who are doing, let's say, biology. The students who are doing MBA. I think for them, I would like you to spend 2 to 3 minutes. Help us understand how important is technology going to be for them. So will computational biology become something, you know, of the future? Will you succeed as an MBA or as a management trainee without understanding technology? Can you be an HR professional without knowing tech? What is your point of view on this?
No, it's a very interesting question, Atul, because I strongly believe tech is becoming a horizontal skill. Everybody's got to know, because the context of India is very different. We are trying to solve everything using technology. Now, of course, computational biology is here. It's not in the future. It's already here. HR tech is already here. Like entire because everybody is talking about the payroll processing, recruitment, everything is already digitized, by the way. We don't even take interviews, the first one. The first 2 rounds of interview in our companies are already done by technology. Tests are already given and we already get the score. And then only you will get to the person where we can talk to. Okay. But I think what we're trying to say, these are like low-end job of technology, which is just automation. The reality of the technology, I'm just using HR because it's very close to my heart. Because once you run a reasonably large company, you realize that HR is your biggest capital you have to nurture and grow. In the sense that, people want to know that, okay, who am I working with? What's the kind of impact my role is creating and what kind of learning I'm getting out of it? So I mean, these dimensions were never there part of the HR. And, this is what the tech, you have to assess the people, help them get to the next level. Same thing is happening in all the examples you mentioned. Like, if you both of us have done MBA, and we know that if we have to do MBA today, the kind of courses we will study would be very, very different than what we studied then. So, I'll tell you a product manager role. In an erstwhile era, you will have a product manager who will basically job is to understand consumer requirements, give it to, let's say, a business analyst who will write, let's say, writes the documents, gives it to IT analyst who will figure out that from solution what the business analyst is given and completely convert into a tech requirement, and somebody will code it. These two roles don't exist in between. The product manager is supposed to understand engineering, and the engineer is supposed to understand the consumer problem. This is already happening right now as we speak. We have absolutely know these two layers. Because now you can say, how would an MBA know? He's supposed to understand how the data is stored in a database, only then he can figure, because the solution is dependent on that. His solution is dependent on that. So technology is definitely a horizontal skill. I mean, good that they're studying in a campus like Shoolini where you have options to do cross-functional one. I remember when I took the last course and you had asked me to take a 2-hour lecture, and I had said, can I have the MBA student and the engineering student in the same room? Because I wanted to explain that how these two streams are combined. That's how in real world work is happening right now.
So I think this NASSCOM conclave is actually at the right moment. And I'm going to end by asking our students, you're creating one of India's cutting edge tech firms, Anurag, and lots of students over here. So how many of you would like to work with FPL? Put your hands up. Oh God, all of them. So when are you coming to campus to hire students, Anurag?
I will. We come every year. We have, let me tell you, Atul, I'm proud of it that, in 2019, I started my company, this second startup. And in 19, we were in the campus and we hired 2 people. They're still with us, one of our core team. We launched RuPay card on UPI just 2 days back in GFF. And almost 70-80% coding was done by these 2 gentlemen who we hired from
also a round of
2018.
applause. Fantastic.
Yes.
So, just put this on your calendar. Our placement week, the first cohort starts in the first week of October. So this time, hopefully, we'll have you in person. Okay.
Sure. I'll try. But otherwise, we will definitely be there for sure.
Absolutely. So thank you once again, Anurag. It's been, lovely, lovely, lovely talking to you. I think we need friends like you, and we need to take the thoughts of industry academia collaboration further. And hopefully this will be a great discussion to inspire our students. And we look forward to having you as a faculty. You've always wanted to be one very soon. Take a course with us. Thank you. Thank you, Anurag. Any last thoughts before we close the discussion? One thing about Shoolini that you like, and one last thought for the students.
No, I really enjoy reading your updates about the tech innovation and research innovation you do. In fact, I proudly talk about this. I've educated so many people in my circle about H-index, how it is measured and how this drives the research focus of the university. But I think the bigger proud I have is that you've decided to build in Himachal and actually be there rather than building somewhere else. I just wish, how do you replicate 10 of them across the country? Because what thinks something is happening already good in the society has to be scaled, and that is how the entire country will take advantage of this. I know we spoke about this last time also when we were chatting up. I was telling you that the time has come for Shoolini to create more Shoolinis.
So now that you're a rich man, we'll do it together. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anurag. Have a great day. And once again, thanks to NASSCOM.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
कौन कहता है आसमान में सुराग नहीं हो सकता, एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उछालो यारो. So be creative, be problem solver, and technology का साथ तो अब बस यूं ही चलता रहेगा. And now I would like to call for our next session, Kamna Jain, Sector Skill Council, NASSCOM, for the introduction to Digital Adda and panelists. So please put your hand together for Kamna Jain.
Thank you, Indu. First of all, how many of you are fourth year final year students here? Can you please put up your hands? Most of you. And third year? Very few. Second year? Okay. And faculty? Do we have any faculty members here? Great to have you guys here. Thank you, Shoolini, for organizing this. And the context for this discussion has been said beautifully by the fireside chat. I don't think I need to emphasize how tech is not just for IT companies, tech is for problem solving. And that includes each and every industry that we know of, whether it's drones for agriculture or, let me just take an example, quick example of shopping. We used to go to physical stores for shopping. Have you all been to physical stores for shopping? Yes. Have you all now started shopping online? And when you were shopping online, did you feel कि और थोड़ा 3D experience हो जाएगा तो और भी अच्छा लगेगा? So do you know technology is now doing that for you? So we have augmented reality. We have artificial intelligence. If you're buying a product, you can see how it will look on you. If you're buying a chair, it will, I was buying a chair for myself and I could see how it's going to fit in my room. So all that technology is enabling and technology is helping us solve problems. We are here to discuss with industry leaders, future careers in tech. This is part of our Digital Adda session. To tell you just a little bit about Digital Adda, this is our thought leadership sessions which we hold. The idea is to bring industry experts to talk to you guys, to help you understand the tech trends. We are in it together to make India the digital talent hub of the nation. Are we going to do it? Are we going to get skilled? Great. So let me, without any further ado, call my esteemed panel onto the floor. Let me invite Tariq Singh onto the floor, please. He is Competency Head, Tech Mahindra. He takes care of the IoT business with an MCA from Punjab University, Patiala under his belt. He's behind all those features that wow us in IoT solutions, which Tech Mahindra offers its clients. He's pretty much established the platform engineering practice in Tech Mahindra. During his 18-year stint in the telecom and datacom industry, he has served Fortune 100 corporations across the globe. He also teaches at the Technical Teachers Training and Research Institute. One fun fact about him is that he's a workaholic, totally involved in his work. Our next panelist is Ramanjit Singh, Director and CEO, Whisper Infotech. RJ, he's called RJ. He's an alumnus of Punjab University, Chandigarh. He's a digital marketing head and CEO of Whisper Infotech. A culture of innovation is what he believes in to extend the product portfolio globally. He is responsible for taking his product international. He has set up the business in Canada and along with it built brand value and given visibility to the organization on an international scale. Big round of applause. Our next panelist is a graduate in mechanical engineering and MBA from Pune University. He's a first generation entrepreneur. Lots and lots to learn from him. His journey started with a startup Bullseye, which is now rebranded as Hit Bullseye. And today, the group has footprints across the entire spectrum of education. This includes test preparation centers, schools, CBSE schools, and even a publication house. Please welcome Hirdesh Madan. The fun fact about him is he's a super cook and he's a walking encyclopedia on Indian car and automobile industry. So reach out to him after the session. Our next panelist is Shomajit Chakrabarti. Born and brought up in Kolkata. He's worked in India and abroad for MNCs like Infosys and TCS, and finally became a CEO entrepreneur in 2015. His fun facts: he did not join the family pharmaceutical business when they asked him. He was very clear, I want to be in an MNC. And then he started his own organization. And then he's a big fan of international football. He follows English Premier League and secretly follows the derby matches between Mohun Bagan and East Bengal. And last but not least, let me invite Ashish Khosla. He needs no introduction. Please give him a big round of applause. So we'll start the panel discussion now. The first question, we know the world is changing and tech is definitely changing the world. My question is to Tariq, what is the biggest change that has come about in the hiring process?
Well, first of all, thank you everybody, and thanks to the Shoolini management for inviting us here. I've always looked up to interactions with students, right? And I firmly believe students are the future and industry. And I was actually in half-day symposium with NITR, IIT Roorkee, and in Chandigarh day before yesterday. And there's a lot of discussion going on between academia and industrial, discussions and interactions, and how do we collaborate together. And there is a big, I would say, set of expectations which are on the both different poles. It's not on the same side. Industry expects the students to be, fully ready, coming into the market, be ready with everything that they want to know, and should be deployable on day one. And because I come from service industry, so I talk about, deployments, and although you talk about placements, we talk about deployments, because ultimately we need to get people deployed with different customers, different projects. That's where a big void which has been trying to be covered. And we are seeing that we are looking at people, students. Earlier, our whole approach was to look at, logical reasoning, analytical aptitude. Now we are looking at how students are ready. And this is where a lot of universities are now bringing up career choices, that you can define your own subjects. What do you want to choose? There will, of course, be some core subjects that you will have to choose as a part of the curriculum, but there are subjects which are coming in, and I hear that a lot of universities are doing it, and even Shoolini University, I just heard about doing that as well. So this is where we are looking at, and now there's a lot of collaboration which is happening. For example, one instance I can quote is Virtusa has tied up with Chitkara, where they are doing an integrated program. So the industry is now looking at how students are ready for them while they come out of the university itself, and not get them into a training mode, because earlier there was a big gap, and technology is changing, of course. So the curriculum has to change as frequently as it is. So for us, hiring, more importantly, if I look at, is more on the lines how soon we can get these students deployed.
Sure, thanks. So you said curriculum should be updated. So my next question would be to Ashish, how do you make sure that curriculum is updated so that students study what industry requires them to be trained on?
So that's a very good question. And I think one needs a two-pronged approach. One actually asks the industry what they want, right? So we actually have tie-ups with a number of organizations who actually help us build courses, at least on the computer science side. So we've got a tie with IBM. We have one with AWS. So we have a joint AWS and BTech, AWS and cloud computing. And now we're doing with Microsoft, because when Microsoft heard ki IBM and AWS ho gaya, so they said, why not us? So we actually get a lot of inputs from the industry, and they do give us an insight as to what is happening, what is required in the future, what is required next year, what is required 3 to 4 years down the line. And that gives us a sense how to realign. And as a, as a small university, as a private university, one also needs to be flexible and very, very nimble. So one big thing that has happened, and which wasn't there a few years back, was things like generative AI or AR, VR. And so we've incorporated this in the core syllabus as well. So our first year guy, or data science for management, we realize is a big one. So we're building all these, and very often we get industry partners to run these with us. Also, we encourage our, our own teachers. For example, we have around 18 to 20 PhDs on AI. So our own teachers are also thought leaders. They write research articles. They see what's happening in the world. Try to incorporate all this and make sure the student is has all these things on day zero. So also, if you talk about placement, doesn't happen like this, that you come to me a month before placement and say, chalo, these are the skills I want. It's a 2 to 4 year journey. So one needs to ready oneself on that journey.
So you start working with the corporates from day one?
Yes, we do. I mean, IBM, AWS. Sometimes you work late also. For example, we do know that Java is still required. So we're working on a Java 4 to 5 month boot camp with the third party partner as well. So it depends when we work with what organizations.
In fact, I would like to ask students, do you feel that with all the tech coming in and all the automation happening, do you feel anxious that will you get jobs? Will your job roles get automated? Is that a fear that any of you have? Raise your hands if you think like that. No.
Only 2-3 hands. Huh? So, can I answer from my students, right?
No, I want to understand basically which are the roles that are no longer relevant and which are the new roles which are coming up. That is something that I wanted to ask the industry.
There are two.
Yes.
So I honestly think it would not reduce the significance of actual engineers, because the invention of calculators did not reduce the significance of mathematicians, right? So we can use AI like a tool to enhance our productivity and our ability. So that's what I personally think, ma'am.
I think the room coincides with what you think. I just wanted to check with Raman on which are the new roles that are coming up, and with automation coming in, as you said, like the new job roles which will be coming up with automation.
So hot topic right now is prompt engineering and how to use generative AIs. So I would like to ask Tariq sir. So what are the future prospects of roles like prompt engineers in the service sector, sir?
Okay. The honest answer is software engineering has not changed.
Okay, sir.
Okay. We are getting all these tools, we are getting all these frameworks just to ease our job. If you look at software engineering started from assembly, we went on to C, we brought in structure to C++, we brought in Java, we brought in STL, we brought in so many libraries just to help our job, right? Now the
Yes.
frameworks like Kafka, Kubernetes have also come in. The principles of software engineering have not changed.
Agreed.
So now when you're looking at changing the way you're doing engineering, looking at, again, I'll come back to the same point, is how ready are you to solve a customer problem, right? Biggest drawback I will say in any engineer is they're sticking to a technical point. मुझे बता दो क्या करना है मैं कर दूंगा, right? And that is not what solves a customer's problem. अगर पता है तो वो खुद ही कर लेगा. So customer comes back with a problem that, and this is where the applicability of your engineering comes in.
So basically empathize with the customer.
Not empathize,
No?
get into the customer's shoes.
Okay. Yes.
Understand what a customer is asking for and how do you solve. That is where we call in a program called design thinking.
Yes, sir.
Right? Getting into the shoes, understand what it is. And for that matter, be it computer science, and this is what I tell even my students, you may be doing any engineering, you cannot get away from technology, you cannot get away from programming.
Yes, sir.
Be it mechanical, be it electrical, be it electronics, and most of them actually land up into computer science anyway. It's not that they don't land up into computer. And you look at all top CEOs, you'll find them, most of them are electrical engineers.
Yes.
Not even as electronics engineers. They're all electrical engineers, but they gotten into this business. They understood programming, and everybody will have to do programming at one point of time. Because if you don't understand, and Mr. Sinha had talked about in a very broad term technology, and I will go down to say technology is nothing for us, is basically how do you control that? How do you do programming? If you don't understand that, you can't get around it. Your specialization in a particular field may not help.
Does that
Thank you,
answer your
sir.
question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, faculty, for calling me here. I would really appreciate and that I have been called here. And I totally agree with Tariq that innovation is around the corner and AI generation is the hot trend. And if I just talk about AI in digital marketing, so I represent that firm which revolves around digital marketing, that is Whisper. And if I talk about digital marketing, then the most important thing which I feel in coming days is strategy building. So you need to come up with a strategy. I understand the automated tools which I have been using for running campaigns and all that stuff. But the most important thing is strategize and planning. Without strategy and planning, you can't do anything. I have built a brand. I have built many brands across the globe. But the thing is, the most important thing is I have aligned a separate team to build up a strategy and plan accordingly. Without planning, execution part is not going to give you fruitful results. Gone are the days where you simply get your team aligned towards the SEO part, PPC part. Gone are the days. You need to first formalize a strategy, build up a plan, and use all the automation tools which are available in the market. Then only you can get the results out of it. So this is how we can utilize AI in digital marketing.
Thank you. Thank you, Raman. I think nothing motivates a learner more than listening to stories of successful people, the challenges they faced, and how they overcame them. I'll now move to Hridesh and ask him, did you ever face a situation where you had to upskill, and how did you handle that?
Thank you, Kamna. Thank you for, first of all, Shoolini and NASSCOM for being me here. And trust me, first time when Atul invited me, today, I think the Shoolini, the way it has come up and where it has reached, and I'm very sure more milestones to come. When you talk about upskilling, I think when you are entrepreneur, trust me, you have the maximum number of times you have to upskill and reskill yourself. I'll give you an example. We were a typical physical test prep company. And when we got into technology and we started our first digital company, and we were way ahead. We started our first edtech 2013. 17 we formed the company, 13 we started work. Trust me, I was more into administration, teaching, because at that time, once we reached 5,000 students running out of 8 rooms, so I had to become more operations specialist than actually the academician, because that's not an easy task. And the moment we got into technology, and first thing I had to learn is about SEO and digital marketing. I remember you were conceptualizing our portal in 2015. By 2019, we had a traffic of organic traffic of almost 80 lakh users per annum. And we had no idea. I had no formal training in SEO. I have no formal training in how this technology works. But we were very clear, focused. And today, if you ask me, I got a difficult task of handling technology. Today, I get into the problem of UI, UX, and the way the softwares are being made. And trust me, I made so many mistakes. When we were making our first softwares in between 2009 and 14, I never bothered about what my vendor was making. By 2016, we got into mess. Tech mess, I'll use the word, because multiple technologies, multiple platforms. It took me 2 years to understand that how this mess will be cleared. Today, we have started cleaning. The whole idea I'm trying to tell you is, forget about whether you're in a job or an entrepreneur. You have to continuously upskill and reskill. Remember, today, the kind of jobs which are coming, like you have car models. When first Maruti 800 came, the model lasted for years. Today, any car model, how many years does it last? The moment you do not tweak your headlights in after 2 years, stop selling, right? Same is the technology platform. As Tariji said, the kind of platforms which are coming, the number of things which are moving. Technology today has a very short cycle. I'm not saying the broad basic technology, but the way the top layer of implementation is, the cycles are getting reduced. Today, what you learn, 15 years back, we used to say probably Excel, then we talked about maybe pivot tables and talked about maybe something else. Today, we talk about maybe using Power BI with AI tools. So things will keep on adding. You as a student have to see that you have to be constantly on your toes. What is coming next? You will be redundant if you do not upskill yourself. So whether I'm coming from my experience, and one sincere advice to you all is, don't label yourself. Don't label yourself as this is what I have learned. Continuously improve, learn, grow. That's what the message is.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In fact, very insightful. And as Alvin Toffler said, that the illiterate of the modern world are not those who cannot learn, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and then relearn. So we constantly need to be doing that. And my next question is in the same lines, that Swamijit, what do you think, that, I mean, we have had this discussion even in the fireside chat, but according to you, what are the courses or what are the skills that students here should strive for? And I'm talking about some technical skills that they should imbibe more than soft skills. Of course, soft skills are needed. There is no debate about that. But in terms of tech skills, what do you think will work for our learners here?
Sure. So probably I can speak many more minutes on this topic. You can cut me whenever you want. I think from 2015, my organization is working with Tech Mahindra and the Tararik for various IIT projects, right? So when I say IIT, probably you might start thinking that, okay, I need to learn IIT, right? Internet of Things, you need to learn Internet of Things. So it's nothing like that, right? My suggestion is like, whatever you're learning as your core, as your foundation, it has to be super strong. Be it Java, be it Python, be it .NET, whatever you have chosen, right? It has to be super strong. Because when we, probably induct youngsters like you in our organization, we make sure that the person is having, obviously tech skills we evaluate. But beside tech skills, we evaluate how flexible is that person, right? Both me and Tariq sir have seen great talents, great minds, but they're not flexible in the sense that they don't want to learn new things. They want to say, okay, I want just to be in that particular, tech stack. And they don't go further. They don't grow, right? So adoption, flexibility is very important. Your learning attitude is extremely important. Learning attitude, that I will learn something, right? So in our organization, and I'm sure like in MNCs, like they usually have, I think 3 to 6 months of training period, right? So from whichever background you have come from, like I started my career with Infosys for 7 years, right? So in Bangalore, I did 6 months of training period. So whatever I had learned in college, probably 15% carried forward. But there in campus, I learned almost 85%. Right? So you have to be flexible enough to learn things. And I will probably mention few tech stacks as well. But another important thing probably I would like to mention here that, so when I got selected in Infosys, like I looked at my peers and I saw that probably everybody's at the same level, right? But I need to be the best among the rest. So how do you do that? And I was not great in programming, right? But when I was given the exposure of various tech stacks, I used to learn, and I used to spend in lab every Saturday, from morning to afternoon. It was a batch of 200 employees who had joined Infosys that time. And in the lab that Saturday, every Saturday, almost for a year and a half, there were only 5 and 10 who used to go there and who used to do the hard work. Right? So hard work is important, learning flexibility, your attitude is very important. And if I come and talk about the tech stacks, I think, yeah, IoT is something coming up very strong. Like we came from Chandigarh, I think we spent around 3 hours in the cab and we discussed majorly on IoT part, right? Another important thing is perhaps the DevOps that's coming up very strong. So probably if you are interested in that area, if you have looked into any YouTube channels, there are tons of material on YouTube, right? You're free to do any, paid courses from Udemy or anything, any other places. But I think, I personally feel there are tons of material in YouTube, right?
In fact, I would like to highlight that we have a platform called Future Skills Prime, which is basically organizing this. We are a learning platform, and we have courses from leading companies like Google. In fact, we recently launched a program on generative AI, Google Cloud Generative AI. It is free for all of you. It is a limited period offer. So I would say make the most of it. And the thing is with this, you get highlighted to all the employers. I think.
Kamna, can I make the announcement then? It gives me pleasure to announce that Shoolini University has tied up with NASSCOM, Future Prime Skill
Future Skills
Platform.
Prime.
And we look forward to all our students effectively using this platform.
Thank you.
All the best students.
Thank you so much, Ashish, Atul, and Shoolini University. I think that's a great step and definitely will be very helpful for students. And at this point, I would like to just turn the questions back to the audience. If you learners have any questions for our panelists, please, this is the opportunity. Whatever queries you have, whatever doubts you have, please raise your hands. And, they are here. They are a captive audience right now.
Introduce what are the limitations of current AI? I wanted to ask, like, what are the current limitations of AI, like how it will affect the job market further going?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. For Hitesh, right?
Am I audible? I wanted to ask the question like how AI will be changing in future, the jobs in future.
So AI is okay. I'll come back to the same statement that Mr. Sinha had made. Will AI impact jobs? Yes. Do we need reskilling? Yes. So all of us who are not working on AI, and I myself went through a MLAI program just to formalize my program, my knowledge, right? We all need to probably get into it. AI is going to impact jobs in a good way. Of course, with everything, what we do or every technology we learn, it impacts us in some detrimental way as well. It's now up to us how to use it. But AI is here to stay. Machine learning is here to stay. Is it robust enough? Not yet. And we are all working on it. And there are a lot of things which are coming in. We talked about generative AI extensively, but generative AI today has been discussed as towards either imagery or deep fake or towards video. We are seeing that coming in towards defining how AI should work itself. Not just on say that we need to have an output. For example, when we don't have an imagery, how do we use generative AI? It is to define the unknown parameters which can impact my work, one of my functions that I need to work on. So that is where LLMs, the large language models, are coming in. And we'll all have to reskill, or students at least, you must work on or you must learn. And choice is up to you. There are so many roles when you get into IT company. It's not that everybody has to be a developer. People can be designers, people can be front-end developers, you can get into databases. But eventually there's a very thin line which is coming into all those roles. Because now it's expected that one developer should be able to do all and rest should be taken care by frameworks. Wherever there is a possibility of automating, industry is automating. And there are companies around just this. That's it. They do your automations. And eventually they make all the roles redundant. So AI is here to stay. You must learn one programming language, preferably Java, and do ML/AI courses, and AI is never ending. You cannot expect that I have now gotten into AI and I'm done. And this is true for all computer science as well. This is true for medical science as well. You look at any top professional who is in his career is learning. Like what Somajit said, we still spend our weekends, we still spend our time to learn, unlearn, and then relearn. So that's going to go on. But AI is here to stay.
I would like to add a typical use case. When Chat GPT was introduced, our faculty started exploring. Today, most of the team in Verbal is using Chat GPT to make ebooks. Today, we are generating our daily GK. What we do is feed articles into the Chat GPT and create bullet points for the GK. Today, for our content team. So what I'm trying to tell you is content will remain content. But today, my job demand has changed. Probably I want my today faculty who knows how to use prompts, not only who can manage content. So prompt engineering is something else my verbal faculty has to learn. Please understand that. So the job, AI is not going to replace job. They're going to make it more automation management kind of with jobs rather than base jobs will remain. Base jobs will be done by AI, but the upper layer will be controlled by the human beings. So I'm giving you my use case. Today, my entire verbal team is absolutely trained. I have made them course on prompt engineering, just imagine. And we are doing it.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Kamna, I would like to add one thing. Just if everyone is talking about AI, I would like to highlight that it is not like only technical people can use AI and get into AI jobs. It's like if you are into, suppose, say, psychological background, you can utilize the same skills in finance industry. And if you just need to have basics about the finance, and you just have to learn a bit about coding, and you can just build out a software or something which can actually help the finance industry. So it's not like you need to be a hardcore tech if you want to get into the AI industry and utilize all the things which are required for any industry part, right? So if you are from any background, you just need to check out your strengths and do all the analysis at your end, and you can just implement all the things for any industry, support any industry.
Thank you. Thank you, Raman. I think that answers. I think there's another question here.
So my question is to Mr. Hitesh sir. My question is that since AI has taken this massive popularity, do you think there will be a increase of position in R&D?
His question is that with AI coming in, will there be an increase in R&D?
Like increase of position.
Increase of positions in R&D positions, R&D job roles.
That will be more appropriate.
No, so if you understand what AI is, right, it's nothing but statistics, right? So I think it's a boom for statisticians today. They have been neglected for a very, very long time. And now they have come up with a technology which is something that we cannot live without, right? And to be honest, if you look at researchers, AI is there since 1970. Why has it become popular now? Because we've got the compute power. So there wasn't any compute power. Now just imagine, we are now working on technology which is far ahead of this compute power as well. Our government of India is talking about quantum computing. Why? Because there are certain elements, there are certain technologies that the world is working on, which are more than the compute power that we have today. So R&D and research is happening towards that. Predominantly, if you look at all research, if you look at all your telecom technologies, 2G, 3G, they were all built in universities, in labs. But 4G onwards, they have moved to industries, right? So this is where a difference is. R&D is not just happening in the universities. They have moved R&D to industries as well. So AI is opening up those jobs. What is your Chat GPT? It's an R&D project. They worked in for so many years. They didn't even know that will they be successful or not. So wherever you are working on a problem solving, that is R&D. And definitely AI is the core of it.
Thank you. I think that answers your question. Thank you. Thank you, Tariq. I think two things you said. One is that, R&D positions will increase and it is now, moving towards industry. I just want to, basically, this is a good time for me to ask Ashish, with the R&D focus that Shoolini has, what is your ask from the industry?
That's a good question, and the point is that, and I was mentioning this to the broader NASSCOM team, is that we, for example, we will have 30 PhDs on computer science, including AI, with us, right? And we have the ability to come out with new models, new products on things like AI, on AR, VR, right? So, and then these teachers can work with their PhD students and then master students and our undergrad students as well. So why don't we have more collaborative projects coming on new things to Shoolini from the industry? And I think that if that ask can be met, it's a very clear win-win for both ways. So that's my question to the industry people as well as my ask as well.
So I'll give you, we entered into Tech Mahindra entered into an MOU with NITR Chandigarh and so many other universities as well, right? My first problem student, and I had 2 ME students under me as, they were doing the thesis as well. My first problem statement to them was, you have a student doing PhD in blockchain, right? Are you solving a customer problem? Are you solving an industry problem? So, and it was more of a research project. Unfortunately, our programs are designed like that, right? It's not looking at how do I commercialize. And this is where the irony is. I'm not sure how many of you heard of Dr. Narinder Singh Kampani. Have you heard of him? nobody would know who was the father of fiber optics. He was an Indian guy who invented fiber optics. Nobody even knows about it. And he was a researcher. He actually had to quit industry, academics to come into the industry to commercialize his research. Because if he would have not commercialized it, the world would have been void of fiber optic. So I'm very happy. There are a lot of problem statements. In fact, a problem statement on blockchain plus IoT. How do you bring in a proof, a digital proof of IoT functions? And that is no way possible without a blockchain. This is where we are working very closely with Vodafone. Vodafone is a leader in this. And as a telecom, they've decided that they'll be a technology company by 2030. So a lot of telecom players are getting out of telecom. They don't want to be in telecom. It's going to be a redundant business going down the line. But this is where they're looking at investing. And this is where it needs research, right? And industry is looking at solutions around it. Other where industry is looking at is, and this is where even government of India's focus is, semiconductor. We're seeing that globally $1.2 trillion of business, which is approximately 1/5 of the Indian GDP. If you look at, there is a lot of research required where, and what is the research? There are hardware products into the market which are like $1,000, and market requirement is $100. Can we make them? There are IITs which are working on it. There are government organizations which are working on it. So Shoolini University is welcome to join hands in that.
Discuss this offline and
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you then.
Atul has a question.
Thank you, Tariq. I have a observation and a question to industry over here. And I'm going to refer to a very famous TEDx talk, which talks about why basic research is extremely, extremely important when it comes to research. So I'll first like to introduce my background. I've been on the other side for 25 years. I was in consulting. I worked with some of the leading consulting firms of the world, including McKinsey and Oliver Wyman. And I had the same perspective as you. And I would also say that academia does nothing. They don't solve customer problems. And I was very proud of that statement, just like you are. Having been in academia and having worked with lots of academicians, I've come to the context that the challenge with Indian industry is that we do not look long-term. We are thinking about solving short-term problems, like we just said. But Tech Mahindra, the size that it is, and I know this is not in your mandate, Tariq, but needs to start thinking about 20 years down the line, 50 years down the line, what technology is going to be. And that's the stance that Indian tech firms need to start taking. Indian tech firms are thinking 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And that's why we're talking about this mismatch between academia and industry. So that was a broader point I wanted to make, that please appreciate the long-term investments that academia makes in research. If you're working on, let's say, hydrogen, that problem will take 50 years to solve. It's not going to be solved in 5 years. And my request to my industry partners would be that in a small little way, appreciate and also invest in long-term research. So that's point number one. I think point number two would be, I think from our perspective, we need to also wear a short-term hat. So I think together we should sit with you and develop those projects which are relevant for you. So help us do that. So the question would be, how do we sort of make that engagement happen? Because I think we keep talking about it, but we struggle all the time. So can you think about 2 initiatives that Tech Mahindra can take so that Shoolini can proactively take that initiative and make it happen? Some very active suggestions from you.
So thank you, Atul. But I mean, I like to clarify. I have never undermined the contribution of academia, right? And that is the only reason why I have been actively, even being in industry. I'm an industry professor in NITR. I'm actively participating because I see an opportunity of bringing in long-term research, as you said, from academia itself. The point that I had made was from telecom perspective. If you look at, everything was done till 3G in Bell Labs, right? So they had evolved the technology, but then 4G onwards, it moved to industry. And academia is busy with a lot of other things which are more futuristic in future. That's fine. But the need of the hour was, how do we bring in 4G? How do we bring in 5G, which is an industry requirement? Although my personal opinion is 5G is overhyped, right? There's not a problem. And still we are struggling with saying that there's not a problem which only 5G can solve. Why I cannot work on that? And coming to your second point, there are problem statements, and how we are trying to collaborate is again through PhD students, and it's a marathon. I don't believe one PhD student in one PhD can actually solve a business problem. And that's where we want to look at as a marathon itself. Solving, and I'll just quote my CEO. He said, today you can commit a murder without even going close to a person. And that's a possibility. A person, and there's actually a series which happened. I forgot the name. I just saw that on Netflix. A patient with a pacemaker, now you can actually, through signals, stop that pacemaker, and you've actually committed a murder. Right? It's possibility. How do you secure that? Am I secure when I'm using a wearable device? Am I secure when I bring in a device today? And there have been admissions that, you got Alexa at home, and Alexa is actually taking your voice, your discussions, which is they're hearing you. Your phones are hearing you. How do you make sure that this all secure?
I think just want to add, Tariq, that Alexa has a disclaimer that it should not be kept in bedrooms.
Yes. And I actually went through the whole Alexa documentary and saw that they really doing it, and they admitted, yes, there are humans also who are listening to it for educational purposes, right? But it's still a security breach. If it's Europe, it's a GDPR compliance problem, definitely.
India is still not there.
India is still not there. We have a data regulation coming into the parliament. So now, as industry and as I'm looking at solving a bigger problem, yes. Can I bring in IoT security? Can I use blockchain for monetizing of my IoT security? And my personal opinion towards the way IoT is moving things, everything is going to probably go towards as a service. This is where we see a lot of silos in the industry. And that's where academia can bring all that together. Because those marathon PhDs, that research projects that we do, which have smaller outcomes with smaller implications and implementations which can be taken to the market, where a bigger benefit of the society happens. If I get, and this is where even you look at an example of pharmaceuticals, why are medicines so expensive? Because there is a lot of money that goes into research, right? If my research is made cheaper, the end product is going to be cheaper. That's where subsidizing happens through the universities. Universities subsidize those researches, right? As an industry, if I'm going to invest 5 people over a period of 1 year, I'm going to get that money back from the market, and that research is going to be expensive. And this is the reason why we looked at how do we go to the academia, say, you help me with your research projects, applicability to the market, which I will do as part of the industry. And then as a marathon, you get a next problem statement, because market is going to present its own problem statements again. And it's going to come back to the research. This is where we close collaboration. And this is what I've realized even later. I'm just once IIT Ropar, and I spoke to them last day before yesterday itself. They're doing 1,500 to 2,000 consulting with industry at any given point of time. That's a commendable thing, right? Exactly. Same thing we would like to do with Shoolini University. Why not come into those consultancies, solve those problems, and that becomes an academic project for you, which is used by the industry.
Thank you. Thank you. NASSCOM is always happy to bring industry and academia together. I think that's our main objective. I would like to now ask the students if there's any more questions. Lots more questions, but we have space for only 3 questions. So the lady in the back. Please speak your name and question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisha and I'm in 3rd year right now. My question is on edge computing. With the rise of edge computing, what are the career opportunities for students in edge computing and the success skills we needed for edge computing? Isn't part of IoT with the rise
Yeah.
of, yeah.
So edge is becoming very important today,
Yes.
right? We are looking at how to get a immediate response, immediate action on the edge itself. 5G has gone into a next level by saying I'm going to do a local loop within the edge itself. So if you're looking at edge, this is where you start with your firmware, right? How do you write your firmwares? This is where the starting point is. But then to a more complex problem solving capability on the edge itself, your Java embedded, your C embedded, all those technologies are which take you there. And there are tons of courses which help you do edge compute, edgification, and you can pick up careers. I am hoping, that's my hope, next 3 years, edge computing will be a hot market requirement in India.
That's
Thank
a
you so much.
question. Just to one more point I want to add, we have a tie-up with a local Chandigarh-based company called Abeka Systems. They do low-code stuff, but we have a tie-up and we are working with the project on them for edge computing. So, Dr. Pankaj, we should have a extended team, take it down to bachelor's level as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It answers your question, Nisha.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think this gentleman, this side, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Satyajit Naik. I'm a first year MBA student. So my question is to Raman sir and Somyajit sir. So I am working as a freelancer, digital marketing freelancer from last 3 years. So I am into web development and Facebook advertising. So I have 3 questions related to this. The first question is how to get maximum my clients are from India. So how I can get clients from USA and other countries in organic method?
That's a competitive question.
Yeah. A nice question. Yeah, so you're all working alone, right?
No, sir. I have a team of 5 members. So we work together and we take projects and we then share the profit with each other.
Yeah, makes sense. No. Yeah. No, I think, as my introduction said, like I never wanted to be in the family business, but still I started into the IT business, right? So I would definitely like to encourage you. And I think the best way, probably, I think Raman can also complement and provide his feedback. You should have your social presence, right? And that is very important. And whatever projects that you have done for India, you can create it as a success story, right? And when you take these success stories to outside India, there are various portals through which you can do that. And then there are organic ways also you can do that, in the sense like LinkedIn marketing, probably, right? Finding the correct connects and asking for their requirements, and then pitching your service along with the success stories that you have done with the Indian clients. I think that will be really helpful, right? So be ready for almost working, I think, 20-22 hours. And that's where you can, complete your Indian job, as well as then you can start bidding for probably foreign clients, right?
It's a dream of every Indian freelancers to get foreign clients because we love to earn in dollars.
No, but I think I will like to correct this notion, right? So currently me and Tariq are probably working for an IIT project for an Indian client, right? I had the same question before I wanted to get into this project, that I don't want to do a project with an Indian client. But when we scoped it, when we did the entire scoping of the project, and obviously when we put the commercial value and we figure out that probably the client is having the deep pocket to pay that. So why not? So why do you guys ignore Indian clients now? Things have changed. You will definitely get few clients who are not good, but I think things have changed. There are many clients, Indian clients, who are paying good brands.
Yes, sir. We get maximum clients good. But sometimes when we get some leads of Indian clients, when we talk to them, so the one problem we face is that they always say for normally we charge 40 to 50,000 for a website, but they say we can donate by 5,000. Why we should pay you 40,000, 50,000 for a simple website? And we are not that big company. We are a medium company. So why we should waste our 50,000 rupees? So
Yeah,
how to tackle that?
So there are various strategies for that. You can say, okay, I will do it for 10,000 as well. Will you be like, can you take me as a equity partner? Right. So you have to be, prompt and clever to ask your questions. I think many time back, I saw a post in LinkedIn where they said, client asked for a Mona Lisa picture, right? And they had a very peanut of budget. So what they eventually got was a very distorted part of Mona Lisa. So that's what actually happens. If the client is thinking, okay, I will get a website done in 5,000, you can tell, okay, what is the pros and cons of it, right? But there are other clever ways of selling your services.
Thank you
You
so
pay
much.
peanuts, you will get monkeys.
So my last question. So
Just a minute. I would love to know what platforms currently you are utilizing to get clients.
So I just use cold emailing.
Cold
And I
emailing.
join the communities in the Facebook, and I join the courses, paid courses, and I reach all the if I join any paid course, I try to communicate with other members of that community, and I get clients from there also. And currently, I'm getting from reference also.
Okay, references.
And I have also used Fiverr and other, but I never got any client from there.
First of all, I would like to just clarify, if you want to use digital media platforms, digital marketing, then there are various technologies, various things which you can do, right? To just get all the clients. There are many organic ways as well as paid marketing activities, right? If you want to exceed or you just want to just spend few rupees on it, right? But I would love to share, as Soumya has shared about LinkedIn as well, I would love to share one case study that I have implemented with my team. And that was around COVID time, right? We launched in a campaign named as Virtual Coffee, where we utilized all the digital happening and all the things which were going around the globe. And people were very, they were quite, they were quite ignoring the fact they want to actually meet the person. So we launched in a campaign named as Digital Coffee, where we approached many people through LinkedIn, and we got a amazing success over. We reached around 1 lakh people, and out of that, we were successful in setting up a call of more than 500 prospects, that too globally at global level. That has really increase the revenue flow in our company. So this is the success story I would like to share. You need to be quite aware about what is happening around, and you can explore many platforms going forward. So this is what I can just suggest to you.
Thank you. So my last question is now. Thank you.
We'll take a question from some other students as well. Yeah, the lady in green, please.
Greetings to all of our panel. My first question is, what are the most significant challenges and opportunities you see for the tech professionals and the current jobs?
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. What are the most significant challenges and opportunities you see for the tech professionals in the current jobs?
See, most of the tech companies, I think usually they will end up taking a competitive programming and aptitude test. Once you get into the profile, see, coding is the core, is understand, right? You can get into QA, SEO, digital marketing, you can get into any other domains which are periphery to coding, right? So, to get an entry job, nobody's going to straight away take you AML specialist, right? So the first step is very simple. Get the first job, right? Figure out what you want to do, whether you want to go towards DevOps. So either You can try something using internship at this stage, but still nobody's going to take you as a specialist in these specific fields. You have to slowly move in that direction, right? So two things. One, do some projects, get more clarity about what kind of a job. I know so many people who start with coding after 1 year, they say, no, that's not what we want to do. Some people went to the front end, some want to towards the database side. So it totally depends. There are enough jobs for every kind of personality or IQ you have. Totally depends to figure out when you get into the thing, only then figure out, rather than being bookish about it and say, okay, this is where I want to go. Experience it yourself and then move slowly. And that's the reason probably you can pick smaller projects. There are so many sites on which projects are available, and gets hand on first. That's my suggestion always is.
So I want to add one more question in this, that everyone says field experience is must in tech field. So working on projects can be also like how should we decide that we should do projects or we should go for an internship in our third year most probably?
It's a practical exposure at the end of the day. See, today, short projects are available on so many sites, right? I know so many people who have been earning handsome. For example, you have a bright student here who is doing MBA and earning. So internships, see, the challenge with the internships a lot of time is people will not give you some hardcore unless it is paid. I'll tell you the problem with internships. Unless this is paid, people do not take it seriously. अब वो मेरे पास कितने फोन आते हैं, वो इसको रख लो, थोड़े दिन के लिए रख लो, 1 महीने के लिए रख लो. अब हमारी प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है, हम बोलते हैं ठीक है, सीरियस प्रोजेक्ट देना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है, because to give a short term project, and then because you have to spend resources, we have to spend resources from our own side. By that time the internship is over. So what is there, if you pick smaller paid projects, you will get confidence. Internships, if you are really serious, and it must be earned in a hard way, not an easy way. If it is earned in a hard way, you are able to prove your capabilities. If you see abroad, there is no concept of placements. Everybody goes through the internship model and eventually they get placed. It's not like that day one, day two, if you see any universities abroad. So always their students do live projects, do internships, and eventually they figure out what they want to do in life. I know in India, we are still lacking. We don't have enough platforms, but I think still, especially for tech people, a lot of opportunities are available. The only thing is just go out and see the world.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? We'll take this one. Please give him the mic.
Greetings, panelists. I am Sanjeet, a first-year cybersecurity student. My question pertains to cloud database implementation, especially for semi-structured and unstructured data. For example, we have OTT platforms nowadays like Netflix, where consumer experience is personalized. For example, genres and languages. So how does it operate? Keeping in mind unstructured data and semi-structured.
इसके लिए क्लास लेनी पड़ेगी.
Some input.
Look, if you look at Netflix architecture, right, you'll be astonished the way Netflix architecture has been put up. We use that as a reference for our own lot of high scalability projects, right? How do you do personalization? That's a simple answer: tenants. So with every account you create, there's a separate tenant. That's how it is being recognized in the system. There's a graph DB which is behind it, which is looking at how you are operating. The quickest search, right? So that's why I said it's going to be a full-blown class on how they design this high scalability personalized systems, right? There are about, if I'm correct, about 100 plus Kafka nodes which are being deployed to serve Netflix. And for us, for a large scale, high scalable program, we would say we take about 2 Kafka nodes. So Netflix has that elaborate infrastructure just to get to fast searching personalized information. They're tracking all of that. I mean, of course, structured, unstructured, semi-structured, all those definitions are coming in because the data is not certain format, right? But when you use a graph DB, that format automatically comes in.
I think Shoolini should invite you for taking a session on this.
Sir, one second. Sir, how do you
He will
secure
take a
the
session. He will take a session.
no, just a follow-up question. How do you secure the database, for example, the unstructured and the data? How do you secure it? The security side.
Look, I mean, what do you want to secure in the data is important. Are you securing the personalized information?
Yes, sir.
So that is obfuscated, that is encapsulated. It's not in plain text. We don't keep the data in plain text so that anybody who gets an access to the database. First, getting access to a database is impossible behind a firewall. Second, even if you get it, the data is encrypted. It is in a format which anybody cannot read it. And the key is also not in the same location. So it is secure.
I think we'd like to give a chance to others as well. Okay. This gentleman here. Yeah. Yeah, you in the court.
So my question is very simple. So
Please state your name and which year.
So my name is Divya Mohan and I'm in the 3rd semester. My question is very simple, that in terms of this quantum realm, how can we secure the data when the quantum computers are very fast, very, very fast, in fact, and that it can easily decrypt everything? How can we secure the gentleman's database, for example? Thank you.
It's a perception, it is fast and it is able to decrypt everything, right? Encryption, decryption, security is an ever going problem. It will never end. Have you looked at any of the encryption algorithms which have not been broken? Any of the securities which have not been broken? The ones which are in use have not been broken. And that's the reason why they are in use, right? You get a security breach. Very simple example, your log4j, which is nothing to do with any data, even that had a security discrepancy. When the whole world got into a tizzy and they upgraded to the new version, right? So security is like an ongoing problem. Hackers are going behind it. They're trying to break it. Will quantum compute help it? No, intelligence has to help it. Computer is not going to do anything on its own. You've got to put in algorithms. You got to put in brute force. What algorithms are you going to put in to break that? Computer only assists you, right?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Last question. Somebody in the back, please. Yeah.
हेलो मैम, माय नेम इज मुकेश तिवारी, आई एम एमसीए 3rd सेमेस्टर। मेरा क्वेश्चन आप सबसे ये है कि जो लड़का या स्टूडेंट जो हिंदी बैकग्राउंड से आते हैं, तो ये टेक कंपनी में इनके लिए लैंग्वेज कितने टाइप के बैरियर बना सकते हैं?
Good question. I'm just going to take this.
My Hindi is even poorer than yours. Right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm coming from Bengal where there's no gender for any matter, right?
Yes, yes.
And interestingly, I married a Punjabi girl and I didn't know Punjabi.
That's good one.
So to be honest, language is not a barrier. Again, it's your attitude that needs to be changed. But as a quick suggestion, right? As a quick suggestion, since you are in college, you can spend your leisure time reading newspapers. Most of the youngsters don't do that. You can read English newspapers. You can watch any serials with English subtitles. Probably that will help in the initial round.
Thank you, sir.
One feedback, right? Is language a barrier? No. Should you not overcome it? No. You should definitely overcome this barrier.
Okay, sir.
Right? There are people who say I cannot overcome it. मैं हिंदी में ही बात कर सकता हूँ, मैं बात ही नहीं कर सकता इंग्लिश में. Right? But there are a lot of people. I worked in Germany and we were taking KT from customer. ठीक है, हम customer से KT ले रहे थे. तो वो उनका स्टार्ट होता था इंग्लिश, सिस इज खत्म. उसके बाद उनको पता नहीं उनको क्या बोलना है, पर वो कोड में ऐसे शुरू हो जाता था, ये कोड में ऐसे ऐसे है, और हम लोग हाँ ठीक है वी आर डन. आई हैड वन कॉलीग जो कानपुर से थे, शुद्ध हिंदी, मतलब कम्युनिकेशन इज नॉट अ बैरियर. कस्टमर ने हिंदी सीख ली. कह रहा शुक्ला जी आप तकलीफ मत करो, मैं बट यू हैव टू ओवरकम इट. जैसे मर्जी करो, उसको ओवरकम करो, टाइम लगेगा, नो प्रॉब्लम.
Anybody else wants to add something? Thank you so much. I will now request.
Okay, there is, in Shoolini we have Sikandar. Part of Sikandar is teaching you how to speak in English. I'll give you an example of the coder who made Sikandar. He was from a small village in Bilaspur. He couldn't speak one word of English. One day we were speaking to somebody, my internet went off, the other person's internet went off. And the client, by the way, was Satyam Computers. And somebody was speaking in British English accent. Who? The guy who made the Sikandar. He said, "Sir, 6 mahine maine roz isko code karne ke liye, I had to keep practicing it. In 6 months, I had this accent. I could speak confidently in it." Anybody can learn how to do it. Yeah.
On that positive note, I'll request the panelists to give their closing remarks.
So when there's silence, I always pick up the mic. So, right. So as a closing remarks, I think you should probably note it down what Tariq has said. Probably he's the most learned among all the panelists today we have here, right? Immense experience on the tech stacks. We have been called here for Tech Adda, right? So his advices to you as youngsters is very important. You should understand that. You should take a note of it. And along with that, I think all others have also emphasized on the other skill sets, whether it's communication, whether it's your attitude towards learning, unlearning and learning. So all these things also matter. So please take a note of it. These are all important sessions arranged by your college and NASSCOM. So if you are attending it, then please attend with a wholehearted participation and take note of things. Thank you.
So like we all said, right? Learn, unlearn, relearn. I think that's the most important thing. And another point that I like to highlight, don't consider a task that is this of your interest or not. What I have followed, so I have changed like 5-6 profiles within Tech Mahindra itself over a period of 15 years. And I've done well with every profile. Why? Because I'm not looking at is it of my interest or not. I'm looking at what is the best to give in for this. Right? It's not about can I do it? It's about what is expected out of the role. So as a student, you're expected to learn, you're expected to excel. And when you're competing with yourself, you're beating yourself every day, and probably you'll beat everybody who's around you. That's the mantra.
Thank you for that.
मैं आपको छोटा सा एक इंसिडेंट जो एक स्टूडेंट मुझे सिखा गया जिंदगी जीने का जज्बा, थोड़ा इमोशनल है. आई डोंट वांट टू मेक यू इमोशनल बट दैट्स द हार्ड रियलिटी. वी स्टार्टेड बुलजाई इन 98 एंड उस टाइम हमारे पहले बैच में एक स्टूडेंट थी. हर नेम वाज भव्या शर्मा, वेरी इंटेलिजेंट फ्रॉम पेक. शी गॉट इनटू IIM Ahmedabad. Next year, she brought her sister. I still remember her name was Kanika Sharma. She said, "Sir, Kanika wants to join the CAT batch." I said, "Great." Kanika was a bright student, अच्छे से क्लासेस लगाती थी, सब कुछ बढ़िया. और कैट का पेपर तब दिसंबर में होता था, used to happen in December. I still remember somewhere when the test series started around September, she stopped coming for the classes. मैंने उसके 5-7 दिन बाद फ्रेंड्स को पूछा कि भाई कनिका इज नॉट कमिंग. बोले कि सर कनिका को बचपन से ल्यूकेमिया है और उसको काफी सीवियरिटी बढ़ गई है. कैट का पेपर निकल गया, दिसंबर का महीना निकल गया. दिस गर्ल्स कम्स टू मी इन द मंथ ऑफ दिसंबर. यू नो आफ्टर केमोथेरेपी आपके बाल नहीं होते, और उस टाइम एक एफएमएस का पेपर होता है. एफएमएस इज वेरी गुड कॉलेज. शी सेड सर मेरा कैट मिस हो गया, I want to clear FMS. We really worked with her very hard. She got into FMS. She cleared her interview, GD, everything. And in the month of April, I got to know that she died. मैं आपको सिखाना चाहता हूं कि हम लोगों की सबकी समस्याएं हैं. किसी को पता हो ना कि शायद वो मर सकता है, काम करना बहुत मुश्किल है. और उस लड़की में वो जज्बा जो मैंने देखा जीने का, वो मैंने आज तक किसी में नहीं देखा. तो हम सब के साथ प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. सीखने और पढ़ने का जज्बा जिंदगी में कभी मत छोड़ो. That's the only thing I want.
So,
and I would like to say that it has been an honor for me to, and what I really felt is most of the youngsters are really feeling a little bit confused about what needs to be done. So I would really like to suggest that you can just undergo many aptitude tests are available online. So you can just get to know what are your strengths and weaknesses. And based upon that, you can just choose what needs to be done. There is no hard and core rule that you need to go into this particular domain to be successful. You can be successful in any domain, but provided you have the right kind of attitude and knowledge to attain all the success which is required. Thank you.
So, on behalf of Shoolini University, I'd like to thank all the panelists here, Ramandeep ji, Soumya ji, Tarek, and Hirdesh. I'd also like to thank Kamna Jain for a wonderfully conducted panel. Thank you very much. Students, there's been a lot of learnings today, and from this panel specifically, we know that, of course, you need to learn one tech stack, definitely, as Tarek has said. One language, could be Python, maybe Java, as he says, C++, whatever you learn, right? Make sure you learn something, but you need to have the problem-solving mindset. That's more important. And language is not a barrier as long as you're willing to learn. And since this topic is future careers in technology, the future technology for your career has not yet been discovered. So it's very important that you keep the learning mindset with you in whatever you do, right? So once again, thanks a lot, everyone. Really appreciate you being here. Thanks.
I think I'll take that away with me, that the future technology that you guys will be working on has not been discovered yet. I think that's the mantra to take away for me.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, students.
Photograph. Felicitation. Yes, sir. So thank you very much. और I just want to add one more thing. एक गाना याद आ गया मुझे हमारे पैनल को सुनकर कि नहीं सर गाऊंगी नहीं, अगर मैं गाऊंगी तो सारे भाग जाएंगे और नेक्स्ट टाइम मुझे आप कभी नहीं बोलोगे होस्ट करने के लिए कि वो सिकंदर ही दोस्तों कहलाता है, हारी बाजी को जीतना जिसे आता है. सो एक बार जोर